Hey everyone! The form we're going to be learning today is 내다. And the way you make it is you take an action verb and you conjugate it just like you would any other verb. So 하다 will become 해, just like that. And then you attach 내다. This form actually doesn't really have to do with the verb 내다, and you don't need to understand it, but I'm going to tell you anyway. 내다 means to produce, as in like to produce something, to put forth something, or to supply something. Literally, kind of like saying to produce, like to put forth the act of doing something. But you don't really need to know that. Now, this 내다 is not the same as another 내다 that you might have seen. 화를 내다 is like you are deciding to be angry. You're deciding to show anger. You're showing anger. You're being angry at someone. Versus 화가 나다 is simply you feel angry. So showing anger, to get mad at someone, or just to be angry, to be mad, to be upset. So this is not related to this. So for our form, you can only use action verbs that take effort to do. So what types of verbs wouldn't work? 오다, for example, 비가 오다. There is no effort for it to rain. It just rains. You also can't use it with other common verbs. For example, 가지다. 가지다 means to have something, but it doesn't necessarily mean to acquire. It just means you have something. And not only does it have to be something that takes effort to do, but it also has to be done by the subject, by the person who's doing it by themselves. So like I, by myself, use effort in order to, or I give effort in order to do something. One more thing now. After going through some difficulty. So it's only used with action verbs that require effort to do. And by doing that, it shows someone, whoever the subject is, by their own effort, after going through some difficulty, did this verb. Let me say that again. This form means that someone, a subject, by their own effort, and after going through some difficulty, does action verb. Two common ways you can translate this feeling that something took effort, someone did it by their own effort, and they were only able to do it after going through some difficulty. In English, we can say this kind of like this. Someone was finally, or someone was able to do something. So I was finally able to, or someone finally, or just someone, managed to do something. So I finally was able to, or I finally managed to. So this shows, in English as well, this shows that something takes effort to do. Because you're not going to say, oh, I was finally able to, it rained. It didn't require any effort. By my own effort, I was finally able to, or I managed to finish something, right? It took effort to do. So because it takes effort, maybe you almost couldn't do it, but you managed to do it. You were finally able to do it. That sort of meaning. So this form emphasizes that doing the action was difficult, right? Because when you say I was finally able to do something, or I finally managed to do something, you're emphasizing, well, not only did I do it, but it was really difficult. It was really hard. That's what this form emphasizes. So when you use it, you're trying to emphasize that, yes, I finished it. Yes, it took effort, but it was also difficult. And this emphasizes that the action was done by their own effort. So because this form is used for actions that are completed, most of the time that tends to be in the past tense. Let's do the first example sentence. 제가 이걸 해낼 수 있을까요? I, 이걸. So this thing, 해내다, is 하다, to do, plus 내다. So 해내다, to manage to do. I finally managed to do something, kind of like that. Emphasizing that it took my own effort and it's difficult. So 해낼 수 있다. So could I manage to do this? Could I do this? It's going to be difficult. I would have to put effort in to do it, and it's going to be all by myself. Could I manage to get this done? 제가 이걸 해낼 수 있을까요? 강아지가 간식을 찾아내서 먹었어요. 강아지가 간식을 찾아내서 먹었어요. 강아지, dog. 간식 is a snack. 찾아내다 comes from 찾다. 찾다 is to look for something or to find something. So the dog found something with effort after going through some sort of difficulty. So it was really hard for the dog. It wasn't easy, but the dog managed to. So the dog managed to find the snack and eat them. But it implies that it took effort. 강아지가 간식을 찾아내서 먹었어요. 드디어 범인이 누군지 알아냈어요. So 드디어, finally. So this adds emphasis to that finally meaning. Like it took effort. At last. 범인, the criminal, the culprit. 누군지, who he is. We have 알다, to know. Not just 누군지 알았어요, but 알아내다 adds emphasis that it's not just that I learned who the criminal was, but it took effort to do it. And it was thanks to my effort that I managed to do it. So I managed to, finally, who the culprit is. 드디어 범인이 누군지 알아냈어요. So I finally found out, or I finally figured out who the culprit is. 저도, so me too. I also, 이것과 똑같이, so exactly the same as this. 만들다, to make. 낼 수 있을 것 같아요. So if we just had 만들 수 있어요, I can make it exactly like this. But now we have 만들어내다. You're not just saying 만들 수 있을 것 같아요. I think I can make it, but I think I can 만들어내다. It's going to be a bit hard. It's going to be difficult, but I think I can manage to make it just like this. You're emphasizing to the person you're talking with, like, yeah, I can do it. I think so, but it's going to be difficult. And it's going to take my own effort to do this. 저도 이것과 똑같이 만들어낼 수 있을 것 같아요. So I think that I can manage to make it exactly like this. I also can. 장발장은 배고픔. So 배고프다, to be hungry. 배고픔. The noun form, so hunger. 견디다 is to endure, to bear. 견뎌내다, to manage to, with lots of difficulty, to endure something. Well, here, 내지 못하고. So he's not able to endure his hunger. 빵, bread. 훔치다, to steal. 빵을 훔쳤어요. So he stole bread, unable to endure his hunger. 장발장은 배고픔을 견뎌내지 못하고 빵을 훔쳤어요. So Jean Valjean, 배고픔, his hunger. So he wasn't able to endure his hunger and he stole bread. 철수는 잠의 유혹을 이겨내지 못하고 결국 잠이 들었어요. 철수, 잠, sleep. 잠의 유혹. 유혹 is a temptation. So the temptation of sleep, literally sleep's temptation. 이기다, to win. 이겨내지 못하다, to be unable to win, to be unable to defeat. It's not just that he wins or doesn't win, but it's managing to do it with his own effort, trying hard, but he can't. 못하고 결국, in the end, ultimately. 잠이 들다 is to fall asleep. 잠이 들었어요. So he fell asleep. 철수는 잠의 유혹을 이겨내지 못하고 결국 잠이 들었어요. So 철수 was unable to resist the temptation of sleep and ultimately fell asleep. 그런 태도로는 누구의 마음도 얻어낼 수 없어요. 얻다 is to receive or to get something. So you're receiving something. 얻어내다. That is not just that you're receiving something, but it's difficult to get it. It takes a lot of your own effort. So managed to get. Finally was able to get. But in this case, 얻어낼 수 없어요. Cannot get. 누구의 마음. Literally someone's heart, someone's mind. 그런, that kind of, 태도. 태도 is attitude. 태도로. So using that kind of attitude. So with that kind of attitude, you're not going to be able to win anyone over. You're not going to be able to get anyone's heart. 그런 태도로는 누구의 마음도 얻어낼 수 없어요. There are two grammar forms that you can use to attach to this form to add even more emphasis to it. And those are the 버리다 form and the 고말다 form. These forms can be added onto the end of verbs that have 내다 to further emphasize the meaning. So let me give you just one example of what I'm talking about. 난, 나는, me, 이 시험, this test, 1등. So number one, first place, the best scoring student. 통과하다 is to pass. 통과해내다. So now we don't just have pass a test, but the test is difficult. So managing to pass the test, 통과해내고 말 거야. 고 말다 already has the feeling of something's going to end up happening. So I'm going to end up passing this test in first place. So I'm going to end up passing this test at the top. So I'm going to be putting a lot of effort into this, and it's going to be difficult. Okay, that is our lesson for today. Thanks for coming, and I'll see you next time. 그럼 다음에 또 봐.